Hi, let me show you the Fifine K688 dynamic podcast microphone, and then I'll do some tests with it. Some creators have compared it favourably with the much more expensive Shure SM7b. Well, I wouldn't go as far as saying it's an SM7b killer, but I have enjoyed using it over the last few weeks, not least because it seems to reduce the sibilance that my voice is prone to. If you're not familiar with the Fifine K688 microphone, it's a dual output cardioid dynamic microphone that has a built-in shock mount just here. If you're just starting out podcasting, the USB output makes it super easy to get going. When you plug the microphone into your computer, it should be recognized as a USB audio input. Then open up your recording software like Audacity and select the Fifine as your recording device. Job done, and you're ready to record. It's a closed-talk microphone. Fifine recommends using it at a distance of about 2 to 6 inches. If you get close, you'll get that broadcast sound you hear on the radio and TV voiceovers. Of course, you could also use it as an XLR microphone. When I used it with the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2, I had to push the gain all the way up to the top. It's much better if you can add an inline mic preamp. I used the Triton Audio Fethead Phantom with a phantom blocker to stop the phantom power getting to the microphone. That gave me a clean boost of 18 dB, so the gain dial on the 2i2, I then moved it to about the 3 o'clock position. I'll let you hear the results of my audio tests with the K688 microphone later, but first let me backtrack to whether this is the SM7b killer that some have suggested. Well, Fifine has obviously styled the microphone to look similar to the Shure SM7b, and like the SM7b, it's a cardioid dynamic mic, both with XLR outputs, but when you open the box, the microphone ships with a USB cable. There's no XLR cable in there. So I imagine Fifine assumes that most buyers will use this as a USB device. But what about price? Well, Fifine sells the K688 at just under $70, whereas the Shure SM7b is around $400. Even its little brother, the Shure MV7, is $250. So price-wise, Fifine seems to be targeting a different buyer. Now, let's say that you're an established creator who can afford the $400 Shure SM7b, and you want it because of how it looks, how it sounds, and just a little bit for the kudos of having one. I don't think that you're going to buy this $70 mic. But if you're a beginner, I think it's a different story. Traditionally, a beginner might consider getting a Blue Yeti microphone because so many other creators seem to use them. Now the Fifine is a strong contender. It's got many of the features that you get on the Blue Yeti, except for all those extra polar patterns that you're never going to use anyway. Plus, it's got dual outputs, a shock mount, and it's a little cheaper. Plus, the all-metal construction makes it robust, and I think aesthetically it looks okay. You can use it as a USB mic or plug it into an interface, and if necessary, you can record from both the XLR and USB outputs at the same time. Plus, with that shock mount, what's not to love? Well, I'd like to love the foam windscreen, but it could be better. It looks alright, it's even got a very tactile velvety exterior finish, and which is very nice, I must admit, but the end that you talk into needs to be thicker to be more effective against plosives. I'll let you hear a plosive test later on. If you need better plosive performance, swap this windscreen for the Shure A7WS large windscreen. It's intended for the Shure SM7b, but you can get cheaper ones like the equivalent from UShares. So I like this microphone about 95%, but will you? Let's do some mic tests. First, let's compare the sound of the USB and XLR outputs. This is a test recording using the Fifine K688 microphone. I'm recording simultaneously using the USB output and the XLR output. The USB is going straight to my computer and recording into Audacity, and the XLR output is going direct to my Zoom H4n. I'm recording beside my computer in the office. I've got 3 computers in the background, all making a noise. Some louder than the others, but I've turned the microphone so that it is facing away from the noise of the computers. I'm about 4 inches away from the microphone. I'm using the foam windscreen that came with the Fifine, and I've also got a metal gauze pop filter between myself and the microphone, so I don't think there should be any pops whatsoever. Well, what did you think? Could you hear a difference as I switched between the XLR and USB outputs? Let me know down in the comments. Also, can I ask a small favour? Please like, share and subscribe, because it will help this channel grow. And make sure you don't miss any new videos by hitting that notification bell. Next, what about background noise rejection in a home office? I'm recording in the office where I've got 3 noisy computers directly behind the microphone, and I'm about 6 inches in front of the microphone. I'll be quiet for a few seconds to get a reference level on those computers. I'll turn the microphone around now so that the microphone is facing those computers. I'm also going to test the effectiveness of the shock mount that's supplied with the microphone. This is me tapping the desk. And now I'll tap the actual side of the microphone. Now I'll tap the outside of the shock mount. I'll now also tap on a standard keyboard. So what do you think? Could you use this mic in a home office or other untreated room? I think I could. Now, how about the foam windscreen performance? If you take it off the microphone, excuse me, and look at a bright light source, like I've got 2 video lights up there, I can see light coming through the end. However, if I do the same with the SHURE's windscreen, look at the bright light and I can see the occasional speckle, but the light isn't getting through. There's much more material at the end of the SHURE's windscreen, so it should, I assume, perform much better than the supplied windscreen. So let's do a plosive test using the windscreen, the SHURE's, and also without a windscreen at all. This is with the supplied windscreen, and I'm about 6 inches away from the end of the microphone. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. A peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, where's the peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked? And I'll swap over now to the SHURE's large close talk windscreen. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. A peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, where's the peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked? And for comparison, no windscreen at all. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. A peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, where's the peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked? Clearly, the SHURE's windscreen worked best, but there's about an extra inch of material at the end of this windscreen compared to the supplied windscreen. Also, without a windscreen, the Fifine popped all the time, revealing what a difference the supplied windscreen actually makes. My final test is a side-by-side comparison of the Fifine K688 with a Blue Yeti. I'm going to try and make this a blind test by calling the microphones A and B and reveal which they are after the test. I've got the Fifine K688 and the Blue Yeti side by side in my office. They're both the same distance from me, that's about 6 inches, and the input level into my recording software is the same. Anyway, I'll be normalizing both bits of audio later on so they're the same. Behind the two mics I've got 3 noisy computer boxes, so this will also allow us to judge how good the Fifine is at rejecting background noise compared to the Blue Yeti. So here's 10 seconds of silence, 5 seconds for one mic and then 5 seconds for the other. So did these microphones pick up any of the computer background noise, or was it rejected? And was one better than the other? You've listened, so was it A or was it B? Plus, which mic sounded better to you? I'll reveal what mics A and B were in just a moment. So, which mic did you think was the Fifine K688? Well, it was microphone B. For my voice, which can be a little bit sibilant, I prefer the warmer sound of the Fifine. But what do you think? Let me know down in the comments. As far as rejecting the sound of the computer fans behind the mics, I was surprised the Yeti was slightly better, but even more surprised that what I think of as a noisy environment with 3 computers constantly whirring away, both mics did really well at rejecting that noise. With my voice normalized to -8 dB, the background noise on the Blue Yeti was -55 dB and the Fifine was -51 dB. So considering it wasn't a scientific test, that's not much difference between the two mics. And unless you apply a lot of compression, most people probably won't even notice that noise. So would I recommend the Fifine K688 microphone? Well, yes, I think I would. It looks okay and it sounds good on both USB and XLR outputs. There's headphone monitoring and controls on the back. It has a built-in shock mount that seems to be effective, and at a price of $70, you're getting a lot of value for your money. The only thing that I would improve is I'd upgrade the foam windscreen. So overall, yes, I do like this microphone. I'll be creating a video that will show you how to record with the Fifine K688 on your Android phone. Once it's ready, I'll have a link somewhere here on the screen. But if you're a Blue Yeti user, I've got a video about the best Blue Yeti pop filters that will help you improve your audio quality. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time.